Welcome back to the CyberVault. Today I'm very excited to be joined by Ambuj Kumar. Ambuj is a pioneer of confidential computing, also co-founder and CEO of Simbian. Simbian are an AI-driven cybersecurity company that are truly redefining how we defend modern enterprises. They're building autonomous AI agents for security operations that I think they think like security analysts. I don't think they think like them. So today we're going to unpack why vulnerability overload is crushing security teams, the promise of AI agents and tackling that scale, and what the future of autonomous defense looks like. But to start with, thank you so much for coming on today. Great to have you here. Why don't you kickstart, tell us a bit more about yourself and maybe a little bit more about Simbian.
I'm very happy to be here, Katie. I started my career at a small company back then called NVIDIA. So I spent 8 years there, built multiple generations of GPUs, and just kind of got bored after doing it for a while. So of all things, I pivoted into cybersecurity, ended up creating a company, Fortanix, made it very successful, created something called confidential computing, where even if somebody has physical access to your machines and root passwords, they cannot get your data. And in 2023, once we had seen ChatGPT moment, and lots of hacks were happening back then. You may or may not remember, but there was one incident where somebody had held a hospital hostage in asking for bitcoins, and their MRI machines were not working, and somebody actually died related to that. So I was like, security is all good, but we need to democratize access to it, because like water plants, somebody also had poisoned some water plant in Florida, I believe. So with all the bad things that were happening, and I could see AI would make it much worse. On defense side, people were still not quite sure what to do. And so my pitch was that, can I create world's best security expert, put that in form of a software, and make it available to every single organization on planet Earth? So that was genesis of Simbian, and we have not looked back since then.
And what an exciting time it's been in the time that you guys have been going. I honestly cannot wait to unpack everything that you guys have been up to. Because I want to start really with the fact that you were recently named Security Innovator in 2024. Obviously, you already mentioned kind of the successful history you've had kind of building and kind of, in the startup world and taking some products to market. But you touched base a little bit there, but what really drives your mission to reinvent SecOps with AI? Are there any particular things about this category? Because arguably that's what you're doing here. You're almost defining a new category. What kind of were the real drivers for that mission?
Yeah, so security operations is about 50% of security spend globally. So we spend about like 90 or $100 billion a year.
Oh, wow.
And some of this money is spent on outsourced services like MSSP, MDRs, but you also have internal SOC. Lots of compliance requirements need you to have that. You need to get like annual pen testing. So bunch of different things are required. But if you ask companies, how happy are they with the service they're getting from their MSSP or MDR, or how do they feel about their detection rules, they are not very happy, to say the least. And then we started to peel the onion, that why is that the case? And turns out that it's very noisy environment. There are almost infinite number of threats, infinite number of what they call TTP, techniques, different threats emerge, and people have been doing triage, investigate, and whether it's a real threat or not, very very manually, and almost like here is a playbook, do like these 3 things in first 5 minutes, and then you ask somebody else to take on. and then they do something, and so what we found was that um, core of the problem was that the security analysts, right, be it like internal SOC people or outside services, they did not have access to right business context to figure out whether a threat was real or not, right? So what do I mean by that? So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you are using AWS and you see your S3 bucket that is open and accessible to everyone from outside. Normally, that would be a bad thing. So you want to be alerted and like close it. But if you are using that for your internal engineering uses, or for deliberately sharing some data with somebody from outside, then it's okay, right? But what happens is that companies get like 80 of these false positive alerts, that here is an S3 bucket open, here is S3 bucket open, here is S3 bucket open. And you go through these, like 80% of the time, they're all false positive. And hidden among one of those is a real one. So you tend to miss them because humans are like, like this is fake, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. And your attention goes low and you miss the real threat. And that causes all kinds of problems. So our thesis is that, can we learn every single security context about your company and use that context to guide large language models, LLMs, AI to automate security operations? So this is so the context we call context lake, and all these AI, LLM software are now called AI agents. So hence like our company building AI agents for security operations, or SecOps, and it's a very different take uh, from others. Our goal is to automate 100% of what humans are doing today, or even like 200% of what humans can do today. So if the smartest SOC analyst can do X, our goal is to do 2X and 3X and 10X, because I believe AI can be much, much more powerful than us. And all we have to do is manage trust and make sure that it's doing things that we want it to do. And but if we succeed in doing this, right? If Symbian succeeds in building this software, and we have some really, really great partners and seeing some really strong early signs of success, then what it enables us to do is put this software in hands of every single organization around the world. And then there are no hospitals that will be held hostage, because the AI agents that Symbian will put inside the company, it will know much more about all the security context than any attacker from outside. So it provides you lots of benefits, but more importantly, you know that you are being defended by somebody who is 10 times more powerful than your enemy. And so
Yeah.
that will completely change the equation of security. This is why it's so exciting.
Yeah, and it really is exciting, especially when you use real life context like what happened with the hospital there, because I think it's so easy sometimes to forget the real, like how real these threats are to day-to-day life, and how actually it can impact people pretty significantly. Even if you don't work in security, or you don't work in a role that you think is typically susceptible to security, it's like, well, it might not affect you in that part of life, but actually now that Gen AI and all these different things are being used across the board for like everything, actually there's more and more kind of, the threat vector landscape's just growing, really, isn't it? And obviously, because you touched base on this there, but Symbian's AI agents can operate across SOC, threat hunting, pen testing. You're obviously kind of continuing the evolution of what else kind of the AI agents can work across. I mean, how does that multidisciplinary capability impact security operations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I view security is kind of health, right? Like individual health. So for my own well-being, right? If I'm having pain in my arm or my leg or headache, they all are related, right? I cannot say that like my finger that I don't use, left pinky is like burning with pain, but I can smile and do great work. No, it does not work that way, because our body is unified and these things are interconnected. Security is no different. If you build your applications poorly, right, using libraries that are ridden with outdated vulnerabilities, and your access control is bad, and like you have not configured your network security correctly, then chances are you will see people coming after you, trying to work around issues and create trouble. So the fundamental unifying theme for Symbian is that we will know what applications are real, what applications are in production. We will know who are your VIP users. We know that it's Christmas time and you are a retail shop. So this is probably not the best time to update some forward-facing application. And so that whole context layer unifies these agents. So today, if you are you work in organization, and your security team might have somebody who specializes in threat hunt, somebody specializes in SOC, somebody specializes in pen test, somebody specializes in GRC or whatever. But what unifies them together is like this global business context, that hey, you do this, then your findings will go here, and then we'll report everything as part of our compliance, and this is how our security improves. So Symbian is taking exactly the same approach. Our context lake provides unified context to all these agents, and these agents work with each other very cohesively. So one agent finds something, for example, in pen test. Now, the moment you have found a problem, you want to fix that problem. And it turns out that fixing problems are a lot harder than finding them. Right?
Yeah.
So that is another unifying theme for Symbian. I decided that we will never ever tell a customer that here are 100 things that are wrong in your system. Uh, because guess what? Customers know already that there are lots of things wrong in their systems. Rather, what we will do is we'll say that here are 100 things wrong in your systems. We eliminated 90 of them, right? And so you don't have to do anything, just read these reports, maybe send us some bonus so that our agents can get a little better. And you are on your own to fix the other 10. But maybe with time, we can fix even them too. So
Yeah.
these two things, unified context and then remediate and fix, not just find, are two things that tie all our agents together.
Yeah, and I think kind of to really zero in on what you say there, it's the remediating, the fixing, and because it's quite funny when you say it, because it only goes so far when you say, oh, here are all the problems, and then all you're doing is just making sure a CISO does not sleep well at night. You're just going, here you go, here's where you're vulnerable, but actually solving those problems, that's what helps give them the shut eye. That's actually where the core, the core pain points fall. I mean, it'd be really interesting to see, because obviously you guys have got some really great user cases that's starting to come through. I mean, are you able to share a moment where like a Symbian agent saved the day and kind of, a customer was like, wow, like here we go. This is how we know we're on the forefront of innovation here.
Yeah, so one example I can give you is that we were working with a very large financial company, and they have very complex environment, as you can imagine. So they have operations in multiple countries, multiple data centers, lots of business units. They are on AWS, they are on GCP, they are on Azure. They use CrowdStrike, but they also use Splunk. Part of their things runs on Sumo Logic. So really complex environment, as you can imagine, from a global company. And of course, these things are a little fragmented, right? Um, so in one of their new business units, right? They acquired a company, and that company, of course, did not have as good security standards as this global financial institution. So they said, okay, we'll take your operations and we'll fix the security. And so while devising security for that, what they did was that traditionally they would have put their SOC team and just like wired them with their SIM and EDR and like just monitor threats. But with Symbian, what they did was they connected us with their EDR, they connected us with their SIM, but more importantly, they also connected us with their cloud. So we can, for example, take your Wiz or Gem or Guard Duty or any of cloud security, cloud native security tools. So we take telemetry from cloud, we take telemetry from your EDR, any your SIM, and we automatically correlate, normalize everything, and find things. So they received, I mean, without giving away too much, they received a low to medium priority alert from all these tools. So they had some alerts from CrowdStrike, some alerts from their SIM, and then we were able to correlate that with things that we saw happening in cloud. And so normally, like these alerts would be disregarded because they didn't have high fidelity. There was no indication of a compromise. But since Symbian was able to correlate these things from three very different sources, we found that it was actual threat that was the result of kind of misconfiguration somewhere. And again, that misconfiguration alert was created by the tool, but it was one of the 10,000 that they had created. So this company was not paying attention to that. So we correlated all of that and said that here is a real threat. Here is exactly what you need to do to fix it. And again, when we say that here is what you need to do to fix it, we do not preach you. All you have to do is click a button and it fixed, or if you run it in auto mode, then it fixed. And so that was very powerful.
Wow. And I think especially when you look at working with like big global enterprises like that, what they want is simplicity. They want kind of someone who can say, hey, we found a problem that you probably would have overlooked, and here's a really simple way that we can fix it. Because arguably, and I think that circles back to what you were saying, if the goal of Symbian is being able to say, hey, what your analyst is going to do is great, but here's something that can do it kind of 5, 10 plus times better and probably faster. Because if it was just an individual looking through that with their systems, that probably would have been so easy to overlook. Whereas when you have kind of technology like this, obviously it allows you to, I suppose, have that wider spread perspective. And I mean, obviously, we can talk about kind of that flip side as well, because as much as like, the good guys and on this side, we're adopting AI, so are attackers. I mean, how do you see generative AI shifting the balance in cyber defense? Do you think there'll be quite a big impact with things like this?
Yeah, I think it's beyond crazy. And, like, I don't think people fully realize extent to which generative AI will change offensive security. To give you real life example, 2 years ago, if you wanted to find a zero-day vulnerability in a complicated application, you would have to spend like minimum of $10,000, but most likely $50,000-$100,000. But now LLMs can find zero-day vulnerabilities just like that, like tenth of a penny, and so it's certainly not fun. I think right now people are kind of distracted by seeing usage of generative AI in creating phishing email, and it can clone somebody's voice, and so they're like, oh wow, this is interesting. But I think that's not even tip of iceberg. The kind of things it can do on offense side is really, really bad. And so I think we are up for some bad surprises there. Good thing though is that you can use same AI for defense. So if Google Gemini can find zero-day vulnerability, it can also know how to prevent it, right? So I think more or less there is like a race to intelligence, right? And more intelligent AI systems are available on offense. You can also use in defense, and it's cat and mouse game. But the stakes are getting higher, right? Because if you are like, let's say, one model behind, somebody is using model 1 and you are using model B, and your model is slightly weaker than the other model, then the whole thing collapses. Or even if your model is good one day and it becomes a little bit 10% worse next day, then it doesn't work. So question is, how do we create a mode for defender where they are reasonably sure that they will be ahead of attackers, right? And how do we do in a way where it's not dependent on you having access to best LLM, because it's a race, right? Sometimes we'll be ahead, sometimes we'll be behind because the field is moving so fast. So what we did at Simbian, we said that hold on, like, what does LLM not know about me, right? What does attacker can never know about me? It's my private information, right? It's about my business context. It cannot know that this application here is a QA application, this application here is production application. This data, although looks like PII, it's all fake generated token data. This one is real. And there are 100 other things that I will not reveal for obvious reasons. So our hypothesis is that if you combine your private information with a competent AI, then you can do things that AI will be able to do.
Yeah.
So this is how we give undue sustainable advantage to defenders. And so that's our entire pitch in a nutshell.
Yeah, you mentioned a whole host of things here, and this is arguably why this episode could probably go on for hours if we really wanted it to, because there's just so much to unpack. I think the exciting thing about cybersecurity in general right now is with the use of Gen AI technologies is how rapidly evolving the landscape is, because the tech that we have is allowing us to do so. But it's so easy to forget that it's the cat and mouse chase, because the other side also have that rapidly evolving technology landscape as well. One thing I want to mention, because we briefly touched base on this at the beginning, but obviously if we look at things like AI bots and kind of the adoption there, but also the possibility of them replacing things like MSSPs, because I think that's a pretty hot topic and a hot conversation right now. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's a possibility that AI bots might be replacing MSSPs in the future?
No, I think if MSSPs play it well, they will be net beneficiary of this whole AI SecOps agents. And here is why. Today, part of the reason MSSPs cannot deliver very high quality service is because they do not have access to that private information, right? So, like, if all MSSP is doing is monitoring your EDR and SIEM, how are they supposed to know that that employee is travel or using VPN, or that application is real and part of your engineering bucket? They cannot. This is why they generate false alerts. This is why they cannot really remediate. With AI, Simbian AI SecOps agent, that problem goes away. Our AI agents have access to all the private information from the company. And like, companies feel comfortable giving us access because guess what? Simbian does not have access. I mean, using our earlier background in confidential computing, we do in a way where all your data is secure, it's encrypted. Even if something bad happens to Simbian, your data is not compromised. So company as a result are willing to share more with this software than they would share with any human being, internal or external. So that gives MSSPs now full access to the private information, and AI agents can do triage, investigate, and fix. And so now MSSPs can go and focus on things where they can really add value, which is what AI agents cannot do, or on the business side of things. So I think if MSSPs partner with AI SOC companies and choose right partners, they will be net beneficiary.
Yeah, sounds like definitely a strategic mindset ahead there for sure, but definitely the possibility of and I suppose filtering out who's going to be really good at that and not. But again, that's the exciting part of being able to watch the space. And to circle back to you guys specifically then, because obviously you recently relatively recently exited Stealth. You had a very strong funding round. I mean, what's next for you guys? We already touched base on the fact that, you're trying to kind of even expand that multidisciplinary kind of capability, but are there any specific milestones that you're working towards right now?
Yes, lots of things for us. We recently launched on-prem for our AI SOC agent, so you can run it in your own environment. So completely private, very, very powerful, really loved by large enterprises and large MSSPs for that reason. Next one for us is releasing our AI threat hunt agent, which is just amazing. AI SOC is kind of reactive. Threat hunt is proactive. You see an advisory, you connect with your CTI source, you have some hunch, it creates hypothesis, goes and executes it, search all your logs, all your contacts, finds something, then searches again, keeps going until it exhausts all that space. So very, very powerful. And then shortly thereafter, we are also working on a pen test agent. And again, our viewpoint is that finding is not enough. We need to fix things. So our pen test agent will do those things. Again, it's being worked with a few very large design partners, but very exciting things.
Definitely sounds like it. And I think, like we've already said, this is the exciting thing about working in such a hot space that's so relevant, so in demand right now. And so for any CISOs or any security leaders that have been tuning into this episode and then maybe are sat there saying, look, I feel so overwhelmed by all the alerts and the risk overload and stuff like that. I mean, what's one key takeaway you would share here? What's like a practical mindset or a team shift that they could make today that's probably going to positively contribute towards maybe helping them sleep a little bit better at night?
Yeah, I'll say that, come give Simbian a try. I take great pride in saying that 100% of my customers are referenceable. So we walk through concrete walls to keep our customers happy. We always try to under-promise, over-deliver, and show a very robust vision. And working with our customers and partners, actually, we deliver on that vision too. So it's really, really exciting. Like you can see a demo. We integrate with more than 100 security tools, almost every mainstream security tools there. Really easy to try and use. So that will be my commercial pitch. But if for whatever reason, right, like you are not looking to purchase a security product, then I will say that definitely use AI. Ask your team members to spend some time with Gemini or Anthropic, OpenAI, whatever. Because in the beginning, right, AI was lots of hype. People don't know how much of this is real, and security people tend to be a little bit skeptic anyway because that's their job. But I can tell you that AI is fundamentally changing how people are doing deep science, not just like we often see paintings and jokes created by AI, but it's changing how we are thinking about mathematics and how are we making progress on proving, disproving Riemann hypothesis and some really, really deep stuff. So it cannot be neglected. If you do not adopt AI, I think your job will be obsolete 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of those that people are afraid of it, but actually in reality, you need to just embrace it. It doesn't matter how scary you find it, because in actual fact, it's not necessarily here just to replace, but to enhance and accelerate and improve and make humans much more effective than they could be by themselves. So it's it's a scary thing, I suppose, for people. But some really great advice to close out with there. And to anybody listening, I mean, I highly recommend reaching out to Ambuj and the team. I think think what you guys are doing over at Simbian is super exciting, and what you've been able to achieve in the time that you've, it's only been a short journey so far. So just the kind of, all I could say is watch this space, because I think you've got some very exciting things up the sleeve. But like I say, Ambuj, thank you so much for joining me here. It's been a pleasure having you on. It's been great to break down a little bit more into this space. And to our listeners, as always, make sure to subscribe, share this with kind of any of your security peers. Obviously, like I say, reach out to the team if you'd like to hear a little bit more. Get connected with us on LinkedIn. But that's it for today. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time for more conversations shaping cyber.